Cool. Well, straight into it then. The new album, Illuminati, is out now. It's been out for about 2 months.
Yeah.
So far, it's received a lot of praise. A lot of people are saying it's the best one for quite a long time. Is that a sentiment that you share?
That's a difficult question because I think basically every musician thinks that the latest album is the best, you know?
Yeah.
It's the one you just created and you feel good about it, usually.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically every musician will say, yeah, this is by far the best we did in a long time. But I didn't know. I didn't know anymore. When the album came out, I really didn't know.
Okay.
We had a lot of trouble mixing it. Actually, we didn't have a lot of trouble, but the guy who mixed it destroyed it completely.
All right.
He was a very expensive guy from a very expensive studio with a really good track record, and I don't know what he did, but he destroyed the whole album. So we mixed it again ourselves.
Oh, okay.
And that took quite a while, but what you hear right now is what we did ourselves. I'm very pleased with the results. So that's good.
Yeah.
But I heard it so many times by the time it came out that I didn't know anymore if it was good or not.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to ask you about the mixing because I believe initially it was. Sorry, my Dutch is terrible. I'm going to get his name wrong. It's Berthaus Westerhuis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you used him like quite a lot. He did the Christ Hunt and the Grand Grimoire, and
he did the early stuff like Christ Hunt, Grand Grimoire, Bloody Blasphemy, Ravenous. Yeah, those are the albums he did, and now we did it together. So I did the recordings myself at home, and he helped me with the mix.
Okay. So why the decision to use him again? Because previously Dan Swano had done the last album.
Yeah, that's true. But we wanted to do something different. We didn't want to use samples as much. We wanted to sound like we sound live.
Yeah.
So we recorded the guitars just in the same setup as we play live, with the real amps, no plugins, no clean signals, everything straight from the amps.
Okay. Cool.
And it also meant that you cannot change anything afterwards. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's perfect. I mean, it turned out great. And Dan is always, he wants to have clean signals so he can put a new guitar sound to everything. So it also makes you interchangeable with every other band who works like that. Many producers use the same samples. So a lot of bands sound the same. And we wanted to sound like God Dethroned, so we didn't want to use that kind of stuff.
No.
We went to a guy who has mixed Rammstein in the past, Creator, Manowar, bands like that.
Yeah.
He has a good track record, and then he destroyed our album completely. So but it cost so much money that we had no other option than to mix it ourselves.
Okay.
Because we needed a lot of money for the videos.
Yeah.
The 3 videos we did were not so cheap, so we were having a bit of a budget problem at the end.
Yeah.
So that's why we went back to Bert. He's my friend. He lives close by. He knows me for 30 years. So he knows what we should sound like. And he knew the recordings. And he said, yeah, the recording is fine. We just do the mix together. And that's what happened. And this is the end result, what you hear right now.
Cool. I mean, the end result is very good. And you mentioned the videos as well. And those are fantastic, man. There's such a great concept behind all 3 of them. Watching them earlier, just to clarify, did the band record the performance aspect in one day? Because it seemed to be all in the same place, and the stories, if you like, obviously took place elsewhere.
Well, the playing, that was done in the rehearsal room, basically, with a piece of red cloth and stuff like that. But that's only minimal, We decided to make something else than a typical band video. Apart from the 3rd one, but I will explain to you later why that is. But the first 2, Illuminati and Spirit of Beelzebub, is more like a short movie, It's more like we're telling a little story. and we added some parts of the band in it.
Mm.
And yeah, that was recorded in the same room, apart from the stories itself, which was done in various locations.
Mm.
But you know, there's a bit of violence in the videos, so Google will not let you promote. You cannot promote violence, they say. So the killing of the priest in Illuminati and the stabbing of the woman in the spirit of Beelzebub is a reason for Google and therefore YouTube not to promote it, or you cannot promote it.
Right.
So we did a third video for Book of Lies, and we decided to not do any violence in it because we could at least promote the video. So that's more of a typical band video with a little bit of extra, you know, some special
Yeah.
effects with the fire and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can't promote violence, but blasphemy is okay. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but again, they're so cool. They're so it's very much like what Creator do with their videos now, or the latest Possessed video was a bit like that as well. I think it really makes it stand out, and when you have that kind of cinematic experience for the songs, it gives you a greater imagination for the rest of the album, and I think it actually makes you want to check out the rest of the album, which is just as well because it's a great album.
Yeah, thanks.
No, you're welcome. Obviously, another very striking thing about the album is the artwork. Really cool. It's very frostbitten and grim, to use an immortal phrase. It's not so much frost, but it's very. It's one you have to really look at, I think, to appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of detail in it. A lot of detail. He spent quite a lot of time making it.
Mm.
You know, he worked with Nile and bands like that, and well, actually, we got our management gave us a couple of opportunities, a couple of people to choose from, basically, or suggestions like you can work with this guy or that guy. And I liked his artwork the best. I think that guy makes really beautiful stuff. So I sent him an email asking if he would be interested, and then he sent me an email back that, yeah, man, I'm a God Dethroned fan for many years, so it's an honor to make an album cover for you. So that's really awesome, and yeah, he put a lot of time in it and a lot of detail. And then later on, he said, "Man, this is the most beautiful artwork I ever did in my life." So that was great.
I can't argue with him. It's fantastic.
Yeah, many people like it a lot. Yeah.
Obviously, right now we're all at home for obvious reasons. How difficult is it for you at the moment to promote this album whilst not being able to tour or anything like that?
Yeah, well, we can't do anything. We can promote through social media,
Mm.
you know, and we did a lot of interviews, and I'm still doing interviews, like with you, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't play live, and that was the part that was so important now. We were lucky to be able to finish the first tour in February. You know, we started on February 14th, and then we ended the tour on March 7th, which was right on time. I remember that the third show of the tour was in Italy, in Bologna, in the area where all the misery happened. And 2 days later, the country was closed.
Yeah.
And that was already the third show of the tour, February 17th. I mean, we were so lucky to be on the right spot at the right time. Because like Belphegor and Suffocation, they started like a week later with their tour, and they hardly did any shows anymore. So we have been really lucky to be able to finish this tour, but for the rest of the year, we can forget everything. There will be no more shows, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is obviously devastating, not just for yourselves, but there's a lot of people, myself included, who haven't seen God Dethroned yet, who are looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sucks, man. How are you spending this downtime at the moment? Obviously, the new album's already just come out, but are you kind of using the time to work on some riffs or anything like that?
No, not yet. I mean, it's too early, and you know, my fear is that everybody is doing that, and that next year there will be an overload of new releases because everybody's just recording something new.
Yeah.
And I feel like the new album is strong enough, good enough to promote it next year. I mean, why do another one while you have a really good one? And if people have forgotten about the album next year, okay, then we have a problem. But if they haven't forgotten about it, then we still have enough opportunity to promote it live. And then I prefer to do a new album the year after because hopefully then things have normalized again.
Yeah.
And to rush now because we can't play live, I don't feel it doesn't feel good.
Mm.
I don't think it's the right decision.
Okay. That's an interesting take.
I'm afraid it will be too much. I think
Yeah.
everybody's fighting for a spot to play next year, and everybody's fighting for a spot to release an album next year. And I don't want to participate in that.
No.
I just want to play live because of Illuminati. And okay, the album is a year old then by that time, but
Yeah.
it's still a good album, and nothing happened in between. You know what? We're one of the last bands who were able to tour before the lockdown everywhere. So I think it's better to make some use of that compared to putting a lot of effort in a new album and then drown in the releases of all the other bands.
Yeah. But plus, I think with the new album being so recent and fresh, you run the risk of still being in the Illuminati mindset. So you might make an album that sounds just like it, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do.
No, we never did. We never did that before. We always did something else when we made a new album. You
Yeah.
know, we always try to be diverse and to make something new. Of course, it sounds like God Dethroned, but it doesn't sound like another album that we already made. So yeah.
Yeah. Even with the trilogy, Iron Cross doesn't sound anything like Passion. I say doesn't sound anything. It doesn't sound like Passchendaele Part 2, so on and so forth. But speaking on that, obviously Illuminati is the first album since that trilogy. So what themes were you excited to explore with the new album?
Well, it was great to go back to older themes like religion and more occult things. And, you know, making 3 albums about World War One was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Because everybody was fighting in the trench. And after 25 songs, you don't know what to write about anymore. So I was happy to do something else.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of fans requesting that we would go back to older themes. And, you know, that was not the main reason for me to do it, but it helped. And it makes sense, you know, to go back to the stuff that we wrote in the past. But I wanted to bring something new to the table as well, like the Freemasons thing and the Illuminati, and to keep it fresh for myself as well.
Yeah, I think covering World War One was an interesting decision because obviously a lot more people are more familiar with World War Two because it's a more defined good versus evil thing, if you like. Yeah. Whereas with World War One, it's a great learning experience having 3 albums about World War One because you're going to be educated, whether death metal or any other way. So it was a very cool decision, I thought. But it's still nice to have the old themes back.
Yeah, well, it was a beautiful thing to do. Back in the day, we had a guitar player. His name is Isaac de la Haye. He's now playing in Epica.
Okay.
He played in God Dethroned for, I don't know, 5-6 years. And he lived in Yper in Belgium. And Yper was one of the Belgian cities that was in between the trenches of the English and the Germans, basically, and the French. And so I went there in the weekends, and we would hang out in the pubs. And every weekend there were so many people from Great Britain visiting the graves of their lost one, or the relatives that died in the war. And those people were singing songs, and they would get drunk, and they would be there every weekend. I was really overwhelmed by it, like so surprised that so many people are still visiting the sites in Belgium about World War One.
Mm.
And it was impressive. And then I went to see the cemeteries and the museum and everything I could find about World War One. And it was so, yeah, I don't know what to say. It impressed me so much. I thought I'm going to write an album about it. And then from one album came the second one and then the third one.
Yeah.
But it was quite something. And also because it was uncharted territory, because not many bands wrote songs about World War One, let alone do concept albums about them.
Yeah. I mean, there is a band from Ukraine now called 1917, but I think
Yeah,
their whole band is based around World War One, so which kind of limits you a little bit too much, I think. But it's still a very interesting
yeah,
subject. And like you say, when you're that close to it, you can see people come from not just Britain, but I'm sure people come from America and Canada to see their great
yeah,
grandparents' graves.
yeah.
Henri, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today, Matt. I really do appreciate it. And stay safe, most importantly, so that we can come and see you next year.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for the interview, and hope to see you next year. And you stay safe as well.
Thank you very much. All the best, mate.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.